The marks, ну, там оценки, значит, за чтение нормальные. Так, получается, что я сейчас даже не успела ваше эссе, потому что с 4-го курса проверяю работы, и поэтому я вам только, наверное, к понедельнику, ну, может быть, выходные проверю, успею, что очень много 4-го курса. Ну, у нас получается, что... Так, кто присутствует? Так, Джозеф. Тут выставлено 9. Так, Николай, 9 это за чтение, которое писали. Так, и Виктория 10, по-моему. 10. Хорошо бы на экзамене у вас они такие были. Так, и Софья прислала, там, по-моему, тоже 10, да.
Ну, там очень текст был легкий. То есть обычно они очень сложные какие-то, ну, специфичные темы, а тут как бы более-менее общие. Ну, мне так показалось лично.
Ну да, конечно. Действительно, insist так, мы сейчас еще буквально минутку подождем, да. Student insist on tasks being multi-leveled, I would say, of different levels. So that's why the work might be, I don't know, might include both difficult questions and the easiest ones. I don't know what determines this. So, Victoria, Victoria, good morning.
Good morning.
Excuse me, we can't see you. If you don't know.
Все, да. А тут я смотрю, да, я свое лицо-то не покажу. Все, я, знаете, что там... Все, извините, пожалуйста, просто так выключено у меня было. Да. Николай, вы удивились, да? Что это? Я решила с вас пример взять. Сейчас еще секундочку, я шнур включу. Решила с вас пример. Не очень, да, это хорошо. Правда, Николай? Сейчас я включу здесь свои агрегаты все. Хотя я тоже не люблю, когда на меня смотрят. Ну, как бы, да. Отношусь к этой же категории. Не совсем это ловко. И получается какие-то... Ну, бог с ним. Так, who else has come? Катя. Теперь меня видно, да? Thank you. А так вы как-то, знаете, просто машинально у меня выключено в начале. So, how many are you? Let me see. Так, время-то неуклонно бежит. Six of you. Ну, today we haven't got any test, I mean, for checking. Firstly, all we are doing today is partly related to the speaking process, which is also unavoidable. And at the beginning of our lesson, I would like to ask you some questions. If you remember the words from our previous lesson. So, do you remember the word дыхательная система, this combination? If you do, we will come back to that.
Respiratory system?
Yes, you can say respiratory. If you look it up in the dictionary, it can be read differently, but still, you're right. Then, do you remember such a combination is which one? Ну, скажем, простудиться. Просто простудиться. It's easy. Well, Joseph, do you remember this?
Get cold.
Oh, catch, cold, catch. Поймать, да? So, it's not difficult at all. So, так, как нам по-русски сказать? Неуловимый, да, неуловимый, it might be said about virus. Катерина, do you remember this word?
I don't remember, sorry.
I'll help you. Иллюзорный. Иллюзорный, неуловимый. I have helped you to a large extent.
Illusionary, maybe?
Elusive, elusive, да? And you see how words of Latin origin can help you expand your vocabulary. So, also, искоренять, я бы так сказала, искоренять, do you remember this word, which can be used? Instead of kill, instead of, I don't know, destroy, which, you know, so, devastate to a certain extent, we have seen it. Nick, do you remember?
Eradicate?
Нет, под корень, грубо говоря, вообще совершенно, да. So that something disappears. So that's all. Now, what about today's work? Firstly, it's related, not related, but implies the use of something from BBC. And I'll open the screen. So, if I'm not mistaken, I have sent you the links in one of Word files. So, firstly, let me open the screen for you.
What file will it be?
Сейчас я скажу. Так. There will be, так. It's called How Much Risk Are You Prepared to Take? И сейчас он называется немножко не так. И здесь они у меня пронумерованы, да. 1A. It's called 1A. How much risk? I think you have found this. Сейчас я это... Да. You can have it at hand. And that's at the end, at the back. At the back, это как бы в конце, да, of the file you'll find the source of this information and you can watch it all by yourselves. So if we will need it. And secondly, I'll come back to my internet resource. Ой-ой. That's we'll need. Before I play it, what's the task? And why I have chosen it for you? Certainly, firstly, for a change. For a change для разнообразия, so that our work could be various. Так, один момент. Так, немножко вот так вот его плавлю, чтобы титры были. So, what are you to do? First of all, watch and listen to this information. And there will be some questions related to the contents. I think whatever is being discussed seems to be related to risk as far as you understand. And secondly, we're interested in acquiring some ideas, some vocabulary to add to what is meant by risk. So to enlarge our theoretical maybe views. So, вам, ребята, видно, да? Да? Can you see it? Все видно. Вот я просто хочу, чтобы все-таки субтитры как-то были.
Yes, we can.
Ага.
From BBC Learning English.
Hello and welcome to 6 Minute English. I'm Neil and joining me today is Rob.
Hello.
So Rob, what's the most dangerous thing you've ever chosen to do?
Tricky question. I've done many risky things, but probably the most risky thing is bungee jumping in New Zealand.
Oh wow, bungee jumping. You'd never catch me doing that. Did you enjoy it?
Not really, no, I won't do it again.
Okay, well today our topic is risk and how different people react to different levels of risk in different ways. For example, would you be happy to be in a driverless car?
Absolutely not. No, I don't trust anybody's driving, even a computer. So, no, I wouldn't go in a driverless car.
Okay, I won't offer you a lift. Driverless cars are the topic of today's quiz. The question is, when was the first driverless car demonstrated on a public road? Was it A, the 1970s, B, the 1950s, or C, the 1920s?
Well, I think they're quite modern, so I'm going to say 1970s.
Okay, well, we'll find out if you're right at the end of the program. Joe Cable is an associate professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania, In a recent BBC Science programme, All in the Mind, he talked about the psychology of risk and whether there was anything physically in our brains that could predict how much risk we are prepared to accept. Here he is, first talking about a number of different ways people see risk. How many different types does he describe?
Some people are quite risk averse and really don't want to take any decisions where there's risk involved at all, whereas others are fairly risk tolerant and in some cases even risk seeking. So they seek out decisions that have an aspect of risk to them.
How many different types of people did he mention when it comes to attitudes to risk?
Well, there were three. The first group was those who are risk averse. If you are averse to something, you're against it. You don't like it. So risk averse people don't like to take risks.
The second group are those who are risk tolerant. If you are tolerant of something, you accept it, you don't mind it, it's not a problem for you. So someone who is risk tolerant is not worried by an element of risk in what they choose to do.
The third group he mentioned are those who are risk seeking. If you seek something, you actively look for it. You try to find it. So risk seekers are those who enjoy risk and want to take risks in their life.
Associate Professor Cable carried out research on risk-taking and discovered that there were differences in brain structure, the way parts of the brain work together between those who are risk-averse and those who are risk-tolerant or risk-seekers.
So it seems as if this is something that could be measured. You could put someone in a brain scanner and tell if they like risk or not. I wonder how useful that would be, though. Is there any practical application for this knowledge?
Good question, and one that was put to Cable. What area does he say this could be applied to?
Definitely something that I can see coming out of this is using these associations to help develop better assessments of who's likely to take risk versus not. This is exactly the thing that financial advisors want to assess when you come to them and say, I want to put my money away for retirement. Exactly the aspect of your personality that they want to know is what's your tolerance for taking risks.
In which area does he say knowledge of someone's attitude to risk might be useful?
Financial planning. He says that financial advisors, who are people that give advice on what to do with our money, would find this information very useful. It would help them to assess what to do with your money, which means it would help them to decide to make an intelligent decision about your money in certain situations.
For example, if you're planning for your retirement, retirement is the time when you are able to or you have to stop working.
He also used an interesting expression there, to put your money away, which means save your money. Put it somewhere where you can't spend it, where it can grow. You know, I think my financial planner could just ask me about how I feel about risk, rather than giving me a brain scan. I hope brain scans can be risky.
I'm not sure that's true, but anyway, what is true is the answer to this week's quiz question. I asked you when the first driverless car was demonstrated on a public road. The options were A, the 1970s, B, the 1950s, and C, the 1920s. What did you say, Rob?
I said the 1970s.
And you were wrong, I'm afraid. Apparently it was the 1920s, so a long time ago. Well done if you got that right. Now, before we drive off into the sunset, let's recap today's vocabulary.
Yes, right. First, we had 3 words describing different attitudes to risk. There was risk averse for people who don't like risk.
People who don't mind risk are risk tolerant.
And people who like risk and want risk are risk seekers.
Next, we had the verb to assess. This means to make a judgment or a decision based on information.
A phrase meaning to save money is to put money away.
Finally, we had retirement. That time of life when you are too old to work anymore, or you have enough money that you don't need to work anymore. Are you looking forward to your retirement, Rob?
Oh, cheeky. I'm neither old enough nor rich enough to even think about that, Neil.
Same here. Well, that's all from us today. And you don't have to be a risk seeker to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And of course, on our website, bbclearningenglish.com. Thank you for joining.
Indeed, what we have heard seems to be undoubtedly interesting information. You can share my opinion Do you suppose it's so, Katya? Or not? Kate, do you think it's interesting information or not? Joseph, what do you think? А вам меня слышно, да?
So it's a question for me or for Kate?
Kate is keeping silence. That's why
Because I saw that she turned on her microphone.
So that's why, Joseph, what do you think about whatever you have watched?
I think that it is useful information for us, and it develops. First of all, I tried during this video not to watch the subtitles. So
It's to be on safe side. To be on safe side, на всякий случай. It's not forbidden. As for the file, the Word file I have given you, you don't need to do it now. Why? As first of all, the choice of words given there has been done automatically, honestly. Why? I have tried the site for teachers where they can construct, make exercises not by hand. I can do it not by hand, but get it done for me. And if you look it through, I mean, the exercise, and while doing, for instance, this, you will discover that the choice of words for filling in the blanks seems to be very, very weak. So that's why, although it has been done automatically, it's not very, very successful. You will do it not in class, but at home. I have just given it as an example of how various possibilities of our websites are, and including BBC Learning English. So, but still, what, for instance, I like about this, as methodologically, it has been done well. I mean, whatever they have been speaking about. Firstly, a conversation, and then a conversation which has been completed by summarizing the ideas. Yes, and that's we are going to try to do now. So without maybe looking it for, watching it for a second time. So, or I have a question to you. So it lasts for about 6 minutes. Not to waste our time, let's try to, I don't know, collect all the information you might have received. And with my help, so I'll try to guide you throughout this video, try to construct a whole picture of what you have heard. The first question will concern the main idea in the video, touching upon затрагивающую driverless cars. So, and the question was, so two interlocutors have been speaking, and when did the first driverless car appear? When was it manufactured firstly?
In
There were three variants.
1920s.
Yes, not in the 1970s. You remember the interlocutors at the собеседник answer in the 1970s. So think it over 100 years ago. So, and the question to you, a question which the speaker asked, so is as follows: would you take a risk of being inside a driverless car? Are you risk enough so to experience such an adventure? Sofia Magdalena, what's your opinion and what's your view?
I think it depends on the situation, because if I were in 1920s, I think I wouldn't like to try and to experience being in a automatic car, or it is driverless car. So nowadays the construction is much better, and as I know, they drive good enough. So I'd like to try it, however, not in the city center for the first time.
Let me a little bit correct whatever you have said. I mean, from the grammatical point of view. Если бы я жила там или была в 20-е годы, да, то я то-то, то-то бы сделала. And, you know, the 1920s have already gone. That's why if we speak about unreal wishes related to the past time, then undoubtedly something else should have been chosen. Вы меня понимаете, Софья, да? Ну, скажем, если бы я вчера могла, я бы сделала...
Второе наклонение. Второе наклонение должно быть условное.
Can you use it again?
If I had been, if I had lived
yes.
1920s, I wouldn't like to experience it.
I wouldn't have experienced this adventure. Yes, you're right. That's very right, because it's not only unreal, but it's impossible, incredible. We cannot come back, unfortunately, to our former background, adventures or life. And unfortunately, maybe to choose, to change something. So thank you. You have understood me. So now we'll move on to the following question. 3 types of people regarding their attitude to risk have been mentioned. So what are these types? And just call them so that further on we could discuss each of them. I mean these types. So Victoria Grabkova, could you call them firstly?
Yes, so there are 3 types. Firstly, risk averse.
Аверсия, так и пишется.
Second, risk tolerant. And third, risk seekers.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the students will fully agree with you. Now we'll get stuck, застрянем немножко, to that extent. The very first item, that is being risk averse. What does it imply? What does it involve? You can go further in your considerations. So, and I think at this particular moment, that is where we can, you can be divided into groups. So, and let them be 3 groups. And the first group will focus on being risk averse. So whereas group number 2, risk tolerant, and the third group being concentrated on those who are people, risk takers, called risk takers. So let me distribute you. Так, you are 7, that's why 3 groups. I'll give you, so how much time shall I give you? Nick, what do you think?
Maybe 3 or 4 minutes. I don't.
Yeah, I think it will be enough.
We
And you can not only remember or focus on the information you have heard, you can develop your information just to express your opinion. Sophia, Victoria, Mikhail are in first group, Victoria Grabkova, Katerina in group number 2, Joseph, Nick in group number 3. Katerina, have you managed to get involved? Are you with us?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's good. So I'm opening session. 3 minutes.
Hello, Ник. Микрофон, пожалуйста, включи.
Не-не-не, я с выключенным. Okay, so we should talk about risk seekers, yes?
Мгм.
What do you remember from the video?
Do you remember?
Я просто судорожно пытался сделать ридинг, ну типа параллельно.
Я понимаю.
Нет, не ридинг в смысле, а вот задание, которое прислали, а оказалось, надо было только слушать. Nice.
Да, не, ну смотри, типа, в самом тексте есть же про risk seeking. Сейчас some cases risk seeking, бла-бла-бла.
А есть скрипт или что?
Нет, ну вот это то, что ты говоришь,
Да-да-да.
1.8. А еще там есть ссылка на YouTube.
Ну да.
Господи, так. Сейчас подумаем, что будем говорить.
So, risk seekers are people who like risking. Окей. Там что-то было с мозгом.
Ага. Все. Да, it's a person who prefers risk rather than... Sorry.
Safe actions.
Yes, rather than be impatient.
So they are impatient.
Yes.
So they'll never get money from investors. Mostly. И все-таки, что там с мозгом-то?
Да, сейчас можно открыть, посмотреть.
Ах, время уже кончается.
Да?
Ага. Ну, нас скоро перекинет.
Я вижу, ага, все. Ладно, пойдем в основной зал, там услышимся.
Давай.
Six-minute English from BBC.
A, the 1970s, B, the 1950s, or C, the 1920s?
Well, I think they're quite
first group
your personality.
of people involved in risk being risk word. Sophia, Victoria, Yunusha, and Michael, you are responsible for this, and could you explain your point of view?
Risk averse are people who are afraid of some kind of risk. We decided that such kind of people we can divide into two groups: people who are afraid of physical risks and of financial risk, because it's a bit different things from my point of view. And our point, yes. And Michael?
Yes, and we decided that the people who are afraid physical risk is in general it's elder people. No, young people not afraid so much than elder.
So, any other ideas? Not Victoria, no, as for elderly people, they also differ from person to person. I know such people who, being young, didn't take any risk, whereas as time goes on, as time went on, they're still involved in such kinds of affairs without thinking about any consequences. That's why, as a rule, such people are daredevils. Daredevils, Дарья пишет, извините, да, ну, а devils, это сорви голова. And as a rule, it's a feature of their character. It's what characterizes people, and nothing can stop them. As a rule, such people have either a long life or a very short life. So, because they never think about it, they're never worried about it. So, okay, thank you very much. As far as the lessons, подростки, да, teenagers, I fully agree with you as and you remember the text, the information we have discussed with you. So it's one of characteristics, one of distinguishing features appropriate to this age. Thank you. Now, group number 2, I mean, not only students, but also people who might be involved in risk. Victoria, yes, and Kate, it's up to you. And so, yes. Share your views.
We are discussing risk-tolerant people. They are people whose attitude towards risk is moderate. They don't avoid risk, but they also they also don't seek it.
Yes, and I also can say that that we think that people who are risk tolerant, they can have like a dangerous job or type of activity which they doing at like a regular base. For example, stuntmen, they have risks every day, so they are more likely to be risk tolerant.
Mm-hmm. So, and out of all groups, this one seems to be more understandable from any point of view, human point of view, and from others. In the English language, there's a good idiom. So it might be related to risk or not, idiom, как бы фразеологизм, which is as follows: to show the white feather, показать белое перо. What does it mean to show the white feather? If you show the white feather, it means that you manifest some signs of being cowardness. Некоторые признаки трусости показывают, if you show the white feather. While showing the white feather, you demonstrate your unwillingness to do this or that, being afraid or scared, maybe even scared of what particular adventure you might pose in this situation. Show the white feather. It's a good combination. So, okay, something for a change. And what I have mentioned as if you are risk tolerant, you neither show the white feather nor demonstrate your qualities such as coward. Coward, no, это трус, да? So, thank you. And the last group, Joseph and Nick, risk takers.
So risk takers, they are people who really like risking, who prefer to risk. So we believe that they have.
People do not like to be don't like to be patient. They want more risk in their life.
So they some sort of having buzz from taking risks. So
It's important. It's very important. Adrenaline buzz. So, причем adrenaline, not adrenaline, but adrenaline automobile. So it's read in this way. And they need it. I don't know. What about your attitude? But if you are such a person, if you belong to a group of those who need a definite buzz, I think it's much better to take risk of, I don't know, going bungee jumping or some extreme sports rather than taking drugs. So, нежели чем, да? And that's why it's up to parents or society, maybe education organizations to study the lessons, characters. Maybe it's also up to psychologists to sort out those people who are at the brink, на грани, да, as a brink or as a wage, это тоже на грани, so of risk. And it's the very moment to distract them by making them, if they are your children or I don't know, grandchildren, making them go bungee jumping rather than any other kinds of adrenaline taking. You understand my idea? Distracting, отвлечь, that's all. And it will be a good substitute in this situation. Otherwise, such people will take risk to do something instead. If you forbid, they will do something instead. And anyway, they will be involved in a definite, not very seemly affair. That's, I think, to add to your information. So once we have distinguished and determined three groups of people who could potentially find themselves in that this or that situation, what are practical implications of your knowledge about taking risks or risk? It's also a question, if we come back to our video, which was asked. So that's why, how practically can this knowledge be implied, be employed тоже, и employed и тоже использовать, да, implied как бы incorporate. So that's why, what do you think about this? And based on our video, who remembers the answer?
Sorry, what is the actual question?
Practical implications, практическое применение. So you know, you might have carried out an experiment. You remember that in the video, person, associate professor, has been speaking about some experiments, so with people who are risky, and so some research devoted to brain work. Yes, and that's why, what do you remember? What are practical implications? What do you remember? Say something. I think that Sophia, Sophia has already mentioned one of them, and it's, one of the most important ones, which has been mentioned. So, Sophia, can you repeat it, please, as you have answered this question, indeed?
Development of a driverless car?
No. Я имею в виду, вот какое практическое применение научных работ, посвященных изучению мозга, да, человека, скажем, насколько он вот рискует и почему его там его изучают. Вот каково практическое применение таких, да, знаний? What
So,
are practical implications?
If we can know,
Or predict.
okay, predict person's behavior. So, is that person risk averse, averse or risk taker? So, that could help to understand, for example, give him money for business or not, or maybe could he or she be a pilot, or I don't know, or be a soldier, or serve in some special forces. Excuse me, I have to open my door.
So that's right. That's where there can be predictions, especially in the financial sphere. And Sophia, you have mentioned this idea, by the way. That's why such knowledge about taking risk can be implied practically in practice by financiers, by in financial planning. And also the idea, do you remember the idea related to retirement? Retirement, ну, скажем так, выход на пенсию, получение пенсионного обеспечения. Joseph, do you think that risk-taking as a problem, once it has been studied, could be applied in this sphere, retirement?
Can you repeat the question? The question is risk taking a problem in the sphere of...
No. I mean implications, то есть, ну, как бы практическое применение, да, будем так говорить. If you, for instance, possess definite knowledge, let's take this concrete certain person, and having studied their characteristics, you might predict what steps could be undertaken by the person to save money for a rainy day properly, for rainy day, ну, как бы на черный день, not to waste money, to make money grow. Can your knowledge about risk-taking, can it be applied in this particular direction?
I think in every sphere of our life and in risk-taking, the most important thing is to feel the measure, the time where the person should stop risking. And this is an important, this is an essential point because every person should have, for example, 10% to risk, 10% to save for a rainy day, and some amount of money for one sphere, for another sphere. So this diversification can be very useful.
Thank you very much. Indeed, we have discussed all the ideas we might have derived from our video. So, anything to add? Have you got any other ideas?
I believe that the answer to your current question should be something like, in fact, risky or not risky behavior directly influence the person's I don't know, habits to save money, or to put them somewhere else. And if
Yes.
he or she is putting them somewhere else, will this be a risky investment or not? Something
Yes,
like
certainly.
that.
Financial planning, it's we can call financial planning. But whatever you have said, one remark. Ну, мы с вами видим, что в процессе речи у нас какие-то вот такие вот выскакивают автоматические слова. If you say money, it's not they, but it. Money is an uncountable noun. That's why if you
Okay.
put it aside, если вы их откладываете, and moreover, if you say много денег, much money, never say many, as money is an uncountable noun. Don't forget it. It's very important for you, especially if you are going to dedicate your future activities in the financial sphere. Good, and we leave this particular video. And now we are going to listen to something, and it's not a test. For this, you will need the next file. Let me show it to you, and I'll say which one. So it will be number 2, file number 2. Out of those, I have sent. I'll open it. Я сейчас все это открою. And I'll show to you. That's looks like. What I'm going to do, it's also related to risk, but maybe not to the same extent as the previous conversation video and the following up conversation, but it shows that in real life, and not only the weekend or during some other celebrations, risk can be taken. That's why you are going to hear a woman telephone a company that organizes extreme sports activities. She wants information about possible birthday present of her father. This is similar to section 1 task in the listening module. Firstly, it's related to our conversation about the risk taken. And secondly, it's undoubtedly related to our practice, listening practice, which is unavoidably vital at this particular moment. So have a look at this table, which should be completed by you. Have a look no more than one word and or a number. So you should fill in the gaps, spaces. Firstly, some explanations. I'm sure that bungee jumping, which has been mentioned today, is very well known to you. I don't think you need any translation, or do no explanations. Не надо никаких
Тарзанка.
объяснений. You know it very well. So as for cage, here cage, it's a definite space area where you are, inside which you are when experiencing this particular activity. So when jumping, so when doing this activity. Special is a kind of an offer. I mean a ticket which you are going to acquire, maybe including some discounts, so or specific price. Any other? Zorbing, I'm sure that it's also known to you. Zorbing. Shall I explain it or not?
As I remember, it's the type of entertainment where in which a person is put into a big sphere, and after
Yes.
that, this sphere is going down the hill,
Rolling down, you can
the
see it.
slope. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. If translated, Zorb и есть Zorb. Zorb. So,
Он так и будет на
ага.
русском зорбинг.
Да, Zorb. So, a zorb, to zorb, and zorbing as a process. Hydrosorb, it's undoubtedly the surface used for zorbing. It might not be only on the ground, but also somewhere which is a water stretch, depending on what it might be. I don't know, maybe a lake or a pond. So principally no other explanations. And let me firstly, I'll come back to this particular file.
Unit 12.
So, are you ready? Let's get started. Listen and fill in the blanks.
Sport. Just for fun. 12.1. Exercise 6.
Hello, Grayson's Adventure Days. How can I help you?
Oh, good morning. I want to book an activity day as a birthday present for my father. So could you give me an idea of the sorts of things you organise, please?
What a great present. Do you want the activity to take place in a particular location?
No, anywhere in the country would be okay.
Right. Well, how about bungee jumping? That's our most popular activity.
Uh-huh.
After a safety briefing, you're securely fastened to the correct bungee rope for your weight. Then the crane takes you up to a height of 50 meters in a cage, and you jump from it.
You make it sound so easy.
In fact, some people change their minds at the last moment. But for the really brave, you can also book our special, which is one normal bungee jump and then a backwards one. It's quite an experience.
I can imagine. Is it available every day?
We do bungee jumping all year round on over 120 dates and in various locations. But you should try to book about 4 weeks in advance if possible, as it's very popular.
Okay. And are there any age restrictions? It'll be my father's 50th birthday, so I hope he isn't too old.
No, he certainly isn't too old, but we'll require a certificate from a doctor to confirm that he's in good health.
Oh, he's very fit, so that won't be a problem. How much is it?
It costs £57 per person for the standard jump and £97 for the special.
Right. Now, I've heard of something called zorbing. Do you do that too?
Yes, we do. That's another very popular activity.
What exactly is it?
Well, you're securely attached in the center of a zorb, either alone or with another person. A zorb is over 3 meters high and it consists of one ball inside another, both made of clear plastic so you can see out through them.
And what happens next?
You roll down a hill at speeds of up to 50 kilometers an hour. You can also choose the hydrozorb experience, where 25 liters of water is thrown inside with you, and you aren't attached, so you slide around in the water while you're rolling.
Wow, I'm sure my father would enjoy that. What about the dates?
The zorb rides take place between April and October, but just at weekends.
Are there any restrictions? I mean, for height or weight?
Your father needs to be at least 160 centimeters tall and weigh no more than 110 kilos.
Oh, that's fine. How much does it cost?
Zorbing is £50 per person.
And is hydrozorbing the same price?
No, that's £65.
Right. I'd better give my father details of both the bungee jumping and zorbing and let him choose. And then I'll get back to you.
Fine. We tend to get fully booked, especially at this time of year, so you ought to book well in advance.
Okay. I'll get back to you in the next few days. Thanks very much for your help.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.
So do you need it to hear it for a second time or not?
I don't think so. It was pretty easy for me. I don't know as for others.
You know, it's very hard. Indeed, I have been driven by the idea of incorporating some listening activities into our conversation about risk-taking, but in vain. And there are very few materials which could be, I don't know, incorporated in this particular conversation. That's why it's not elementary. So, but neither is it very hard. I can agree with you. So, but still, no second time. Тогда мы с вами не будем слушать, да? Правильно я понимаю, второй раз? Ну, there are some other students whose opinions also valuable. What do you think? If it's necessary, could you raise the hands?
Ну, я 2 не успел, но если все остальные успели, то только из-за меня, конечно, не надо заново прослушивать.
Ага. Ну что, так будем или не будем второй раз все-таки, Миша?
Да давайте, наверное, не будем, там, я думаю, все особо сделали.
Там чиселка.
Не будем, да? Окей. Ну, давайте, by common effort we'll give correct answer. We'll try to give correct answers. So, that's why the first answer, special, also includes special offer. Also includes what? Where is your list? The list of your names. One moment. So that I could call you, because I cannot see your names when the screen is open. Так, Виктория Грабкова. What is it?
Backwards.
Yeah, backwards or backward. Both are correct. Thank you very much. So, backward jump, that is indeed the second jump. So, availability, what about this one?
So, as I have understood, backward jump, it's a jump which is... А вот я, кстати, не очень понял, как. То есть через спину? Ну, то есть...
Backwards?
Обратный, как бы.
Ну да, да. You know, I have never experienced this. As far as I understand, if you jump forwards, вперед, it's for as first time. And then backwards, maybe... So,
Да, это просто спиной назад.
Окей.
So, I can explain this word, what the word backwards might mean. So, number 2, availability. What about this particular? How many days?
May I answer?
Joseph.
120.
120. Мы не забываем, и заодно мы что-то с вами повторяем. Когда мы говорим 120 в английском языке, нам слышится, что там никакого and нет. В самом деле, если у вас идет числительное, состоящее из 3 цифр, как минимум, тогда мы говорим 120. 105. 105. Но в потоке речи это, конечно, терять. 105 практически не слышно.
А мы можем, извините, сказать просто 120?
Вы можете сказать, вас поймут, но грамматически вас поймут. You know, what's a bad mistake when you have been misunderstood, да? Вот когда неправильно вас поняли, это грубая ошибка. It's not a mistake, but it's a grammar mistake. Но это грамматическая ошибка. Ну, we're interested in purely correct language, to strive for a purely correct language. So, мы же должны знать правильный вариант в конечном счете. Да, и вернувшись, если мы говорим 1100, например, 1100 часов, ну, почему бы нет? How would you say it, Nick, if you ask me a question? Вот как будет? 1100 часов. Давайте так, 1125 часов.
Окей, 1000 and 1125 hours. Я без end. Я не знаю, типа, наверное, правильно с end, но...
Я вам просто напомню правила. Значит, у нас идет присутствие вот этого end, когда мы говорим внутри разряда, да, то есть внутри, в пределах сотни. Когда мы говорим 1125, то есть получается, что между тысячами и сотнями нам не надо end. Вы поняли меня, да? 1125.
Окей.
1108, 1108. Вот такая история. Миллион, тысяча, так, не забыть бы цифру, которую сейчас я напишу. Миллион. Так, миллион, тысяча, 105. Вот давайте такое число скажем.
1,1105.
Да. Yes, you're right. Ну, соблюдайте такое же правило. Конечно, это не имеет отношения к датам. Вот я выяснила такую удивительную вещь, например, на первом курсе им нужно было написать, да, 1600 год, просто написать это на бумаге, и звучало 1600. Да, 1600 – это в английском языке 1600 год, 16 сотен, все логично. Ну, у них получилось как? Они написали 1600 и еще написали thousands. Ответы были абсолютно разными. То есть фактически ни одного правильного ответа, даже написали 1600 кто-то, но все равно приписали что-то еще. Вот зачем, спрашивается, 1600? Это мы, конечно, только когда озвучиваем. Напоминаю, это касается годов, да, лет. Thank you. We'll move on. Otherwise, we won't be able to check everything. It's the following, item 4. And we'll ask, так, Софья.
Item 3.
Да.
Doctor.
Doctor, thank you very much. Number 4. And Katya.
It's 97 pounds.
97, yes?
Yes.
Куда написать фунты? Вот как?
Они уже есть.
Да, вот. И это тоже иногда. Вот мы ставим вперед. That's why if it concerns currency, you should put it forwards, not backwards, but forwards. Now, Misha, it's your question number 5. It's easy. It'll be
ball, maybe.
Ball. Yes, you're right. Number 6, it'll be Lyra's present or absent? Absent. Then we'll ask Victoria. Number 6.
Okay, number 6, attached.
Attached. Can you spell this word?
A-T-T-A-C-H-E-D.
Yes. You can say double T. Thank you. Number 7. Will you do it, please? It's section 1, and certainly it's easier. Так, Виктория Грабкова.
Weekends.
8 will be, which one? Joseph.
110 kilograms.
110. And the last one, so Sofia.
65.
Yes, 65. That's where we are going to stop our listening. It just for a change so that we could involve some listening activities in our conversation. What is next? Firstly, I would like to show something to you. There are many interesting materials, and it's not within your information, but still there's much of such sort of things. I'll enlarge this. That's one of them. You can see what's opposite of risk taking? Cowardice? meekness, timidity. Там не очень четко видно, да? Timidity, meekness, cowardice. A good picture, by the way, and it's for those who can associate their knowledge with pictures and to pick up some vocabulary. And this one, so let me show this one. What are the words for risk-taking? Bravado, valor, audacity, courage, adventurousness, brave deed, daring action, great courage. That's good for the essay writing process. And don't forget that while writing your essay, especially if you do it at home, use different words. No, valor is written in the American way. Valor вообще пишется, да? It's the British variant, it's the American variant. What other pictures? I have indeed found many of them. I think it's not a problem. And another one to attract your attention to different kinds of risks can be observed here. So one of risks which hasn't been, maybe it has been mentioned before, but first of all, those who smoke, hopefully you don't, almost every part of your body can be damaged by this activity. So it's a good way of studying English, some anatomic features, human parts, body. Stroke, it's those which are given on your right concern illnesses or diseases. Yes, stroke, удар, blindness. That's why if you a loss of eyesight, gum infection, вот скажем так, инфекция, которая касается
Полость рта.
Да, да, совершенно верно.
Такого.
Aortic rupture, разрыв аорты, and others will get involved in this because it's so sad and gloomy. And so the further, the more maybe risky for the rest of your life. That's why never smoke. My suggestion and my offer. And here, though here it's also word concerning diseases. They are chronic diseases, and so here, apart from organs, you can observe some illnesses. Leukemia, for instance, cancers, they are illnesses, though they haven't been classified as chronic diseases. Certainly they are acquired diseases. Stomach, kidney, pancreas, поджелудочная железа, да? All organs can suffer, unfortunately. So it's for the sake of our getting rid of bad habits. So what's left for us? Indeed, it's a conversation, and could you please open this particular card? I'll show it to you. As unavoidably, your exam, whatever you might reflect as a result of your listening, reading, it's undoubtedly speaking. And it will be your homework. Though we'll try to do it in class. We have 10 minutes left. Describe a risk you have taken which had a positive result. Let it be positive. You should say what it was, why you took it, and what the result was. I will distribute you throughout groups as it'll take more time. So to enter, to go out of your session. So I'll give you some time, and it might be a kind of draft, скажем так, rough copy, rough work, какая черновая работа, as you are not at home. But don't forget that at your exam you will be given only 1 minute. That's why I'll give you 1 minute. Try to cover all of these 3 items. What is missing here, indeed, it's a very, very traditional question. I have copied it and haven't added. And explain why you suppose it to be positive and important. That's nothing to add.
Excuse me, there is an information, I believe, that our exam will be in the autumn.
There's no information. Если вы не имеете в виду какая-то, если у нас информация об экзамене, да, нам ее вообще не дают. Вот. Вы меня понимаете, да? Вообще не дают информацию. То есть это идет мимо нас, поскольку департамент, я уже говорила. Я вас правильно поняла, Ник, да? Правильно вопрос ваш поняла?
Нет, просто у нас
в экзамене, да.
У нас в беседе, я только не понял, какой источник.
Я поняла ваш вопрос уже даже, когда вы его не задали. То есть написано, вот это многие студенты сейчас сполошились, что 15 числа экзамен. Значит, что касается 15 числа, это те студенты, которые не сдали с прошлого года. Вот они 15 марта экзамен сдают. Поэтому нам сказали, что если студенты некоторые вообще забегали, засуетились и сказали нам успокоить студентов, сказать, что это касается только студентов прошлого года. Вы меня понимаете, да? И к вам это не имеет отношения. Поэтому, пожалуйста, сейчас не беспокойтесь. Вам должен учебный офис лично это все написать. Именно студенты 2-го курса этого года. Не беспокойтесь. Вот. Понятно, да? Okay, so that's why 1 minute.
Okay.
Which of you is ready?
I believe I can try.
Yeah.
Today I'm going to tell you about a risk that I have taken, which had a positive result. In fact, it is the story you have some way know yet. So, this risk was in my exams after my finishing school. So I was preparing for my exams for about 2 years. However, the risk that there could be some difficult tasks, some difficult questions which I could not answer, was rather, I don't know, big. And however, I have passed my exams, and moreover, I have entered the university. So there should be noted that I have chosen only one university. So the risk in that case was that if I don't enter this university, I don't enter any university. So I took that risk because I was sure that I need to be in that university. In fact, I exactly knew what studying program would I study. So I believe that that risk was proved for me. So that's all.
Thank you very much. Вот вы знаете, что, ребята, здесь убрала знаки вопроса, потому что, да, и вы тоже там уберите у себя в файле. Я просто скопировала задание, потому что это, на самом деле, не вопросы, а косвенные, да. You should say what it was. Тогда неправомерно здесь ставить знак вопроса, потому что нужно what was it. Правда? Вот это будет вопрос. They are indirect questions. Ну, вот очень торопилась и поэтому не обратила на это внимание. Ник, thank you. И то же самое у вас. Какую программу, да, я бы там, и так далее у вас было. Вот program I would, вы мне показалось, что немножко так сомневались, ставить ли вам обратный порядок, прямой порядок слов или инвертированный. И вы всегда должны быть движимы той идеей, что если вы говорите I don't know, what steps I should take. И когда вы же это не ставите вопросом, правильно? Тогда у нас будет прямой порядок слов. I don't know what steps I should take. Я не знаю, какие меры предпринимать, да? Но в вопросе, естественно, у вас будет what steps should I take, если уж возможно себя ставить, или should you take. Вот таким образом. Don't ignore it. И вот из того, что сказал Ник, out of what you have said, what should be or pose a linguistic risk seems to be the presence of different tenses, which should be various. For example, if you say, я готовился к этому там 2 года, in this situation, it's not enough to have said was preparing, as you have indicated the combination for 2 years. That's why
I had been preparing
I had been
past perfect
preparing for 2
continuous.
years. И, конечно, да, это past у нас получается perfect continuous. Вот про это мы с вами не забываем. Some students choose such a strategy. They just avoid using a range of tenses, and that's where they are mistaken. There should be a range of tenses if it's possible, if it's relevant. In your situation, it might have been a good idea, certainly. So, because you have related, you have connected your background information with the present situation. Yes? So, that's why don't forget about this. Вот в связи с этим, я думаю, что нам с вами, вот у нас остается сколько-то занятий, и мы могли бы с вами сконцентрироваться на каких-то моделях. Вот есть модели, где очень хорошо вот выучить именно какое-то определенное количество, ну вот какое-то сочетание времен. Ну, например, вот с тех пор, как я поступил, прошло столько-то времени. Вот как нам сказать это? Каким образом нам выразить, да? Скажем, или 2 года прошло с тех пор, как я поступил в университет, или 1,5 года.
Since I had entered the university, some time passed.
Вот
Да.
получается у нас, смотрите, если мы скажем 2 years have gone since I entered the university. 2 years have gone. И здесь вот эта модель, она очень странная, потому что после since идет не present perfect, а past simple. Но у нас как бы это since приурочено все-таки к предыдущей мысли. 2 years have passed since. И почему? Потому что вместо фразы, которая идет since I entered the university, мы берем since then. Мы как бы одно слово заменяем притачным предложением. Поэтому не укладывается в голове, почему past simple, если стоит since. Ну, просто-напросто мы вот какое-то слово после since, да, мы его развернули в виде времени. Но оно, конечно же, было в прошлом, правильно? А вот то, что первое, это связано с настоящим. И поэтому present perfect в первом предложении. Вот, таким вот образом. Ну,
А как сказать неоправданный риск?
Неоправданные?
Да.
Ну, так. Not, так, unjustified risk. Justified – это оправданный, или non-justified, или unjustified. Вот я бы так сказала, да? Justify.
Спасибо.
Да, я бы сказала так. Или же, ну вот, скажем, ну, в общем, если вот в лоб так меня спросить, я вот так вот могу. Конечно, on second thoughts I can think of maybe some other words. Иногда вот в лоб, когда первое, что попадет. Ну, я бы так сказала. Ну, хорошо. Вот, that's where. Ник нашел, нашли вы что-нибудь, да? По поводу обратного. Я просто как бы без словаря, поэтому то, что мне приходит в мою голову. Или разные есть, да, другие слова, можно посмотреть в словаре. So, are there any questions to me? Какие-то есть вопросы ко мне? The homework will be sent to you. It will concern your oral activity. Нет вопросов?
Sorry, I have found the collocation. Ну, неоправданный риск, там undue risk.
Какой еще раз?
Undue.
Ну, может быть и так. Ну, там не должно быть ни одно только. Ни одно это слово. Абсолютно ни одно слово. Их очень много. Вот.
Of course, but...
Да, безусловно, ни одно только. Ну, хорошо. So, what that's I wanted to say. And if you have any questions, write to me. And so that's where we'll stop our lesson. Finish our lesson. Okay? Goodbye. See you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
До свидания. Have a good time.